My name is Meron and I'm from Durham, North Carolina. I went to NC State University and I majored in animal science because I thought I was going to be a veterinarian. So a virtual assistant is pretty much somebody that handles the back end of anybody's business. So it could be like content creation, it could be taking appointments, it could be scheduling things, it could be managing the inbox, DM, social media management, so many things. Just anything in your business that needs to be done, virtual assistants can do. So that's kind of where I am right now. I haven't niched down to anything, so I kind of just help anybody that needs any sort of assistance in any areas of their business. Out of college, I worked at a laboratory because that's what my degree allowed at that point, and I wasn't happy. I just wasn't happy there. There were a lot of times where I'd come home and I would just be depressed and drained, and yeah, I think it came to a point where I just knew I couldn't continue doing this with my life. I had to do something else. From there, I actually talked to a friend and she brought up blogging. And so I started travel blogging, and from there, the connections I made through travel blogging, I found that you could become a VA. One of the travel bloggers that I followed was a VA. That's where I learned about that world, and then I got connected with somebody and started working with her as her VA. And she was just willing to do it because it was a fellow Black woman, so she was down to train me. So yeah, that's how I got my foot into the door with that. So my business is called She Trippin'. She Tripping, technically. She Trippin', it's kind of like Black woman travel. Like, yeah, I started it with blogging is when I created it, and that's my blog site. It would translate well to virtual assistant. I think having a remote job kind of puts a mirror to yourself in a way, like to your lifestyle, because you're not managed by anybody. You're not being told to be at work at a certain time or anything. It just exposed me to my lifestyle, my habits, how I manage myself, my tendencies at work. Yeah, I just kind of thought like remote work would just be like a piece of cake, but it's a lot more effort that goes into it, because you have to set your own schedules, your own boundaries around your work schedules with your clients. You have to not be doing work at 2 in the morning, resist that urge to like do that. Yeah, I think just setting your own schedules can bring up a lot of issues that I did not know beforehand. I couldn't see myself going back to like a traditional 9 to 5. Maybe later in life, maybe when I'm like settled down with a family and everything. But I think right now, just because, you know, I'm 23 years old and I have the ability to be wherever I want to be, I'm not tied down to one place. I just want to take advantage of that right now and travel as much as I can post corona and do what I want to do. I just want to use this time to do that and explore my options that I wasn't really taught, you know, in high school or in college. I wasn't exposed to these different options. So I think social media has played a big role in that, like showing me that there are more options to make a living and actually exceed that. And that's kind of my goal, just to pivot into whatever it is that I'm guided towards. So I'm not entirely sure what the future holds with She Trippin'. Whatever it is, I want it to be just something I'm happy with, just something that, you know, I'm not interested really in like running this huge empire of a company or anything, or having like a huge team of people that manage all these things. I want to manage myself and make good money, do really great work with amazing people, be anywhere that I want to be at any time, work anytime. That's really just the goal of it all. And I know being a VA is kind of the stepping stone of that, of finding what it is that I truly love doing. So 2 years ago, I would have thought I was in vet school. I'd be in vet school, and that's just always what I pictured my life to be. I think ever since I was like 5 years old, I just always thought I was going to be a veterinarian. And I think it really took releasing that expectation that I had for myself, that other people had for me. I think once you tell people your goals and stuff, you start to hold yourself to that. You know, once you tell everybody like, oh, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, even if you don't want to do it anymore, you feel like an obligation to do that because you don't want to let them down. They expect that. So yeah, I think that's kind of the stage that I was. Like I had this expectation for myself that I was going to be a veterinarian, you know, like since I was 5 years old. So I was just like, I can't let myself down. I can't let my family down. I can't let like all my friends, the community down. I probably would just have swallowed my desires and just continued on being a veterinarian, and maybe later down the line thought of doing something like this. So I'm glad I just jumped the gun and did that. So it's anybody wanting to become a VA, I would tell them you can just start a little side hustle with it. It doesn't have to be like you just quit your job and become a VA like I did. You can just work 5 hours a week, like an hour a day, a work day, being a VA. It doesn't take a lot. Like you don't need a whole bunch of training or anything. You can, like, you know how to check emails and stuff. So that's not something you need a whole ton of experience with, and people will still pay you good money to do that type of stuff. Just do your research, find people that would need that type of assistance, that you would love to work with. Go in Facebook groups. Look in hashtags. There are people that are looking for this stuff every day. So yeah, it doesn't have to be like such a huge step. It could just be like a little, you know, little dip in the pool and see if you like it. You don't have to commit to it all the way. So